And welcome into this free-for-all Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, tied 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope you guys are getting a good start to your weekend. I know it's nice outside. It's definitely hot. Matter of fact, let me check the temperatures. Jaisha, I don't know if you know what it is. Here it is. It's on my computer right here. 88 degrees is what it's saying. But I'll tell you, it definitely feels a lot hotter than that. I was walking my dog earlier this morning, and definitely felt hot. But anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Free for all Friday, you guys know what that means. It means we're going everywhere and anywhere. It's been a very, very fun week here on the show. Looking forward to finishing off the week in a fun fashion. We had my dad on here yesterday. We myself, obviously, but we also had the Pastor Payne on here. Not just that, we had both of us here on the YouTube stream where you guys got to see us have a little back and forth action, had the boxing bell ringing a little bit, debating this Alabama defense. And I know you guys really enjoyed that. We got a lot of positive feedback from that. So he did say he was probably going to hop back on here today. We got it where he can just jump in and out whenever. So we'll see if that happens. Maybe I'll shoot him a text to remind him. But I know a lot of you guys were telling him to hop back on. So maybe we'll hear from the Pastor Payne. If not, we definitely want to hear from you guys. 205-342-9904 is the number to the program. Free for all Friday. You guys are on. I don't know. What was I looking for right there, Jaisha? You guys are on the clock. I don't know. You can always download that Tidal 100.9 app completely free. Google Play Store, Apple App Store. Leave us an app message if you guys got any questions, comments, or concerns. Follow us on social media, by the way, at the Miller's Edge. You can also tag us in tweets if you have anything that comes up. For example, Ricky tagged us in something. We'll dive into this in a little bit, but I think it was regarding the defensive line and some outlook on them. But this time it was coming from Cole Kublik, and I think his thoughts probably align a little bit more with my dad. I think it actually came from a clip from his podcast or his show that he does on YouTube. So maybe we'll go listen to that just to piggyback off of yesterday. I know a couple other things also have come up that I want to touch on. I know Digger gave me some homework yesterday, told me to watch the women's softball game between Texas Tech and Texas, and I'll give my thoughts on that as well. Plus, if you guys haven't already, check us out on the YouTube stream at the Miller's Edge on YouTube. Again, you can watch me do the show live. You can interact with everybody in the chat. I already see Justin C. Southern. We got Q. What's up, everybody? Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll hopefully have another fun and interactive chat over here today. But again, if you guys haven't already, check us out on YouTube. You can watch me do the show, interact with the chat, and watch all the videos and stuff that we play. So that's what we got. Oh, and Mike, there we go. I'm doing roll call now. I feel like I'm a teacher right now, and I'm like doing roll call with all my students. But anyway, good deal. All right. That being said, Jaisha, do you have any plans for this weekend? Anything big going on for you?
Probably going to go to a strawberry patch. Hopefully, I don't
Oh,
get
wow.
rained out. I think it's supposed to rain, but as of now, that's my plan.
Where are you from originally? You got a little bit of an accent. I mean, I'm definitely going to guess Alabama for sure. But
No,
where are you from?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Are you okay? Well, Memphis. Wait, hold on. Memphis has a strong accent. It's just a little bit different,
Yeah,
right? Wait, is
yeah,
Memphis is like Glorilla and that whole deal, right?
yeah.
Hold on. I got to quiz you real quick. Wait, hold on. Wait, wait, what is the way they say something? Hold on.
Music.
Yes. Wait. Say music or music.
I don't use it with the R, but we do say music.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. I don't know what else I was thinking of, but of course, yeah, Josh McMillan, who played linebacker here, great friend of mine. He was also from Memphis, I'm pretty sure. But that whole accent is the most interesting thing. You know what? Not just the Memphis accent. Y'all do have a very notable one. And I don't even know if it's everything else just sounds like a Southern accent, but then it's like when y'all say the R's with the U's, it just throws you off. It reminds me almost of Baltimore. I don't know if you guys ever heard the Baltimore accent, but they don't say two, they say
Yeah.
two. Like it's like they sound how they sound until they say like the U, then they sound like some like British people. And it's the craziest thing to me that like you'll have a dude like he's using slang this and that, but then he says two, and you're just like, wait, what? What did you just say? Okay. So Memphis. All right, well, that's cool. And the strawberry. That's cool. I've got blackberries that grow in my backyard. I don't have strawberries, but that is cool though. And you just like go to a farm and do that. How'd you find that?
I found one on TikTok. It's about, I think, an hour and a half outside of Tuscaloosa. So
Oh wow.
I used to go and like go to strawberry patches with my grandma, and she taught me how to fish and
Oh
pick
dang.
greens and stuff like that. So I was like kind of missing her. So I was gonna do something that she taught me how to do this weekend to just bring up an old memory.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's awesome. No, that totally makes sense. Well, that's cool. I hope you do get to do that. It does like I think maybe it might rain Sunday or no, a little bit even today. Maybe you said tomorrow you're going. I think tomorrow you should be good though.
Yeah,
Sunday.
Saturday.
Yeah, I think you should be good. Sunday it might rain a little bit, but that's awesome though. Strawberries, man. Well, you might have to bring me back some. You know, Ellis, who calls the show a lot, he brought us watermelon from. And I know that sounds crazy. Some of our listeners probably he brought you watermelon. Listen, he's a good man. He brought us some. It's like special watermelon. It's like what was it again? It's like yellow watermelon. I don't know if have you ever seen that or heard of that yellow watermelon, Jaisha?
Yeah, I've seen it on TikTok.
Where are you? Are you on fruit TikTok? What is up with all this
I
fruit
just
on your TikTok?
I don't know. TikTok is whatever's on your For You page, it builds like that algorithm, and everything just comes back. Like you could search one thing, and from
Yeah,
there it builds a whole entire For You page. I've seen like
yeah.
not yellow pink pineapple,
Pink pineapple.
yellow watermelon. Yes, it's a lot that you can find on there.
Oh wow. Yeah, I had never heard of it. And I know guys, we'll get into sports talk. Don't worry. It's a free for all Friday. We're having a little fun real quick. But yellow watermelon from Ellis was the first time I'd seen it. And I'm just telling you guys right now, if you haven't tried it, it tastes pretty much the same. It's not so sweet, which I kind of like. I don't like things too sweet. But the craziest thing is like when you're looking at it, I swear it just your mind is thinking you're eating pineapple, right? Because it looks more like a pineapple when you cut it open, obviously, not the outside. But it tastes like watermelon. But it was really good. So shout out to Ellis. If you guys are trying to find some yellow watermelon, ask Ellis. He's the man with the plan. He knows everything about that. But yeah, Jace, you definitely are clicking on a bunch of fruit videos, and you're right. The algorithm definitely, tailors to you. Mine is a bunch of Spanish videos. Obviously, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Yes, I'm learning Spanish, but obviously, as you'd imagine, I'm clicking a bunch of Spanish videos. I was trying to do that actually, so I see a bunch of Spanish videos. I don't get a bunch of fruit, but maybe I'll try to do that as well. Just in terms of accents, Justin says to me, women from Boston sound like pirates when they talk. That's that's interesting. I'm trying to. Boston definitely has a strong accent. I'm trying to think. I know where's Dave Portnoy from? Isn't he from Boston? Maybe his accent's very very interesting. I don't know. Anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and take this first time out. When we come back, we'll get into some sports talk again. We'll probably start with this Cole Kubelik clip, him talking about the defensive line. Since we've been talking about the defensive line a whole bunch in this defense, I want to get his thoughts. I do know the rankings that I saw. He's not going to be as high on him as some of these others, or even his counterpart in Greg McElroy. So I want to hear his opinion. We've heard Greg's. Now let's hear Cole's, and we'll build off of that. But again, Free for All Friday, you guys are invited to hop on and join and do whatever you want to do. Again, 205-342-9904 is number. Quick timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's art sport experts. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Taylor Electrical Radio.
We're listening to who radio? Taylor Electric. I don't know what that is. Good morning, Roll Tide. Yeah, what's up, Justin? Southern? TGIF, that's right. Anybody got any big plans this weekend? See, what's going on? Mike, Roll Tide. Yeah, Southern, you missed you guys can always go back to and watch yesterday's. It was good though. We had my dad on here. He joined the stream, right? You guys have heard him call in. But he was back on the stream and we had a nice back and forth, man. And like Q said, the chats are very interesting.
How does it work?
Dang, Carson said he's got a golf tournament Saturday for his brother's birthday. That's what's up, man. I'm okay at golf. I'm not bad. You know, I'm pretty humble. I feel like I'm pretty decent. But watch me say that, then we get out there and I'm probably trash. But it's like when I don't anticipate playing well, I actually play well. Then when I think I'm figuring it out, I'm terrible. But that'll be fun, man. Born and raised Georgia Peach. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I got family in Georgia, especially depending on what part of Georgia. Depending on the part, it definitely can get very, very southern of an accent. Kind of like South Carolina, right? I mean, a lot of people always like they just think Charleston or even Columbia. Like where I'm from is more like a Birmingham, so you're not going to have like strong accents like that. I mean, you can for sure, but as you guys know, people from Birmingham, it's not going to be nearly as strong as other places. But if you guys have heard Xavier Legette from Mullins, right? I mean, that dude's accent is insane, literally. But everybody loves it, man. And that his accent alone has made him so much money. Like the endorsements and things that he's doing. Matter of fact, speaking of Memphis and Jaisha, Glorilla had him on a new cover, like a song cover or something like that. All right, we got this Cole Kubelik video pulled up. I'm trying to hurry up and
12 noon Central.
Get to our spot before we come back. I'm gonna get back to the chat here in a second. Give me a second. He's talking about Oklahoma. Where's Alabama, man? Oh, okay, there we go. He found it. And welcome back into this Free For All Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're just getting rolling. First segment, we talked about some fruit because Jaisha's got some fun plans to go pick some strawberries.
You know, this entire time they couldn't even hear me.
Wait, really?
Yes. Before I got here, whoever was here before me had mic 1 muted. You could hear me, but the listeners couldn't hear me.
Oh, okay. Well, it's no big deal. Honestly, I wouldn't even have known. Well, obviously, I wouldn't have known. I was hearing you. It's all good. Well, good. Well, I guess let me give a refresh. I guess they heard me talking about it. Me and Jaisha were discussing her plans for the weekend. That was to go pick some strawberries. You know, she wanted to do something that she used to do with her grandmother, so she made plans to go pick some strawberries. And you guys heard me talking about the yellow meat watermelon from Ellis. But anyway. That's what we were talking about. Oh, Mike says we heard her. So I guess the stream was able to hear you, but maybe the radio listeners. So radio listeners, that's what Jaisha was talking about. Her plans to go pick some strawberries and her Memphis accent, by the way. Which, funny enough, yeah, Glorilla, who's from Memphis, had a fellow South Carolinian on her album cover. So, yeah, Xavier Legette, man, He's letting that accent. I mean, obviously he's a good player, but that accent is definitely. I mean, it's made him famous. Like, I mean, like he's all brands want to work with him. So, note to any parents out there: if your kid is like okay at football, just give him a really crazy accent, and he might be able to gain some traction there. All right. So we talked about yesterday the whole defensive line stuff, defense in general. Want to build off of that. So we've got another perspective here. This one's from Cole Kubelik. So we heard Greg McElroy. He was big on the defense, even, you know, the defensive line he feels really optimistic about. Well, his co-host and counterpart, Cole Kubelik former offensive lineman at Auburn, doesn't quite feel the same. Let's see what Cole Kubelik had to say regarding this Alabama defensive line unit.
We'll see how it's going to play out. Number 5 was a tie. So I did cheat on this a little bit and put 6 teams in. I had to. And I'll be honest with you, 4, 5A, and 5B, probably even 3, really and truly, I thought it was a coin flip. So you could take 5B, 5A, and you could put them at 3. I wouldn't care. It wouldn't bother me. You could take 3, put them at 5, A or B. You could take 4, put them at 3, 4, put them at 5B. I think after 2, these are really close. And I don't think there's a ton of differential, but we'll go into it either way. So I would Alabama at 5B. We'll start there. I think Alabama has some quality players back. And part of this is going to be the same thing we talk about with Georgia and a couple of these other groups. The standard is just not what it's been either the last few years or the last 8 to 10 years. It just isn't. But I do think that LT Overton's a guy that can almost take over a game. He can be super problematic. He had a great year last year. I'm actually more excited about Jamarian Latham for Alabama and James Smith for Alabama. 2 guys that haven't gotten the hype, haven't gotten the publicity, haven't got a lot of the conversation, can play kind of your old school 4-3-3 technique, can play maybe a little bit of nose if they had to, even though you're going to have Tim Keenum to do a lot of that. They can move out, play kind of a 3-4 defensive end. They're athletic enough to move around a little bit and do some different things, but both are super heavy-handed. Now, the thing with this Alabama group, not super twitchy. Not a lot of guys are going to be disruptive shooting gaps. That's just kind of not who they are. I do think that Latham can do that a little bit. I think he has a chance to get in the backfield and be problematic. And then one thing we're also going to do is we're going to sort of include some of the edge guys here because it's just a part of the group. I know it's a whole separate entity, guys that drop, guys that come to the line of scrimmage, but we got to include pass rushers here. So we'll talk about that with each and every one of these groups. And Quay Russaw is a guy that can be dominant. When I went through this list and I'm looking for players that I think down the road can be takeover players, take over a game, go dominate a game, Quay Russaw is one of those guys. Now, he was banged up last year, so we didn't get to see a full season of him, but he showed that twitch off the edge, that ability off the edge to be able to bend and rip, that get off the football to be able to beat a tackle upfield with a little bit of power and a nice arm length to be able to use that jab and that stab to be able to win at the point of attack to possibly be a game takeover type player. So we'll see if it actually happens. We'll see if he goes the whole season, but I do think he can be that guy off the edge. Other than that, the twitch not really there for Alabama. I mentioned Tim Keenum. He's played a lot of good football for the Crimson Tide. I think he's going to be super solid. Is he close to his ceiling? Probably. It doesn't mean he's not going to be a beneficial player and somebody that can help you win games. You go get Kelby Collins from Florida, a bigger body that has SEC ability. The light hasn't really come on yet, but we've seen some other guys in an Alabama uniform take a few years to figure it out and all of a sudden get it. A lot of that, I think, has to do with the culture. Maybe he does, and he can be somebody who sort of adds to that group.
And there's an ad right there, but I think he's wrapping up, and we're going to respond to this. We're going to hit a timeout in a second, but let's let him finish real fast. Give me 2 seconds.
The thing, my biggest concern with Alabama, to be perfectly honest with you, is going to be depth. After a lot of the guys that we mentioned, Jeremiah Beeman, Edric Hill, Aisa Faga, I don't know which one of these guys comes in and provides a ton of reps, a ton of snaps, and who's going to be a real force in the Southeastern Conference. Frontline guys feel great about. You look at exactly what you're going to get there, know what you're going to get there. Second wave, not really sure, and that's going to be different than some of the other teams that we talk about. I think you can be a good group. I think it'd be a group that goes a lot of way helping you win football games. Is it going to be a consistently dominant group? I don't know if I'm ready to put them in that category just yet. Dominant at times and has to stay healthy is how I would qualify this Alabama defensive line right now.
That being said, we're going to hit a timeout right here. And then when we come back, we're going to respond to it. Definitely interesting. There's one thing that really stood out that he was saying that I'm probably going to have to give. I don't want to say pushback. I'm just going to correct a little bit because I'm a little confused on it. And I'll tell you guys what that is after this quick timeout. But I want you guys to think about what he just said and see if you guys agree with it. Again, basically, he has Alabama. He did a top 5 defensive line unit in the SEC. He had Alabama tied at 5, I guess 5B. For that top unit. Sounds like he feels pretty good about the starters. The depth piece is not so sure about. Plus, he doesn't think they have a bunch of quick twitch ability. So we're going to break this down when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store America's Arch Sport Experts. Quick timeout. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I want to tell you about our great friends over at Brian Harding Construction. Brian Harding Construction. Any crane works. Matter of fact, let me share their website real quick. Put that on the screen while we talk for a second. Great group of people, man. Phenomenal work. Brian Harding Construction. You guys need any crane work, man? They are the people. They do all the work on the stadiums and all that stuff. Where's POP? Tell him get on here, Tia. Tweet him and tell him to get on here. I told him he's got the link. Let me shoot him a text. He said he told you he was hopping back on here. Let's see. All right. I shot him a text. We'll see. Let's see what you guys think about that. Carson says, I agree completely already. Rotationally, we are sound. My thoughts are almost exactly the same, except I believe in Renaud and Beeman more than he does. Carson knows ball, man. Carson knows ball. Yeah, I'm with you, though. I think Renaud, you look at him, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, in terms of, because he falls in that bandit category, right? The LT, the Kelby Collins. I mean, I would behind LT, I would have, Renaud getting a lot of snaps. Honestly, man, you talk about pass rush ability and having quick twitch for a bigger guy. That's him. But in terms of true quick twitch, like we were talking about like edge guys and stuff, yeah, I mean he's right, but really is how you look at it, right? Think about this. I mean, James Smith for a 300-pounder that serves as a nose. Obviously can move around, but you get what I'm saying. He also plays nose. I would say he's pretty quick twitch for a guy that size now, and in terms of being disruptive shooting. I mean, that's literally what he does. That's his style of play, which he mentioned him. I'm not saying he was wrong there, but all right, here we go. And we're back on this free-for-all Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, tied 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts. So I just realized, I forgot to tell you about them. Let me just do that real quick. The Good Feet Store, you guys already know, but again, try before you buy, nothing to lose. If you're dealing with any type of pain, foot pain, knee pain, or back pain, the Good Feet Store is where you need to be. Premium arch sports designed to eliminate and alleviate all types of pain. I probably should just take my shoe off one of these days. Not to show you my feet, relax, but to show you these arch sports because they're that simple. You just pop them in, and it's that easy. But again, everything starts from the ground up. Your foundation is everything, and that's why you have to take care of them. So if you're wondering why your back hurts, why your knees hurts, why your hips hurt, could be problems there, but also a main contributing factor is your feet. So that's why you got to take care of them. The Good Feet Store will do just that. Midtown Village here in Tuscaloosa is where you can find them, but you can also go to their website right here, goodfeet.com. Find the nearest location to you, find out more information. They've got plenty of it. Got a nice video explaining it all right here. So check them out. Again, that is the Good Feet Store, improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time. All right, we heard Cole Kublik give his take on Alabama's defensive line unit. Again, he's got them ranked 5B. And I said I wanted to respond to it. But first, I'm going to go back and just clip through here real quick and give my thoughts as he says them real quick. So let's circle back and we'll hear. Matter of fact, let me reshare this. But here it goes right here. So this is what he said again, just to recap. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but.
And I'll be honest with you, into it either way. So I would Alabama at 5B. We'll start there. I think Alabama has some quality players back. And part of this is going to be the same thing we talk about with Georgia and a couple of these other groups, the Jamarian Latham for Alabama.
So that was one of the main things I wanted to hit on. He mentioned Jamarian Latham, which I do feel good about him. I mentioned him yesterday being a guy that he's going to be a quality player, guy you can depend on, rely on. But to me, he's kind of like one of those tweeners, right? I mean, you look at him. Let me see what he's listed as. But I can just tell you right now, he was playing Bandit. They moved him to Wolf, right? They moved him there at the end of last year after Q Robinson got hurt. But you're talking about a guy's probably, I would say, what, like 6'2", maybe 270. So the reason I say he's a tweener is because, I mean, he was playing more of that end, that 5 technique, that Bandit. Now you've got him at outside linebacker. Alabama's website has him listed as 6'3", 278. You get what I'm saying? So definitely on the heavier side for a outside linebacker. Now, not saying he can't do it. We've seen him do it. I mean, athletically, he definitely, he moves around just fine. But he's not going to be that quick twitch guy off the edge for you. But he's definitely going to be a heavy-handed, run stopping defender. We've seen his pass. He can pass rush, right? I mean, it's going to look a little bit different. And he honestly, who knows? He honestly might have slimmed down with the change to outside linebacker. He might be a little bit lighter. But anyway, the correction I have with Cole in this clip is he mentioned him even playing some nose. I don't think Cole is aware he's moved to the Wolf position. He's playing outside backer. This guy will not sniff the nose, no pun intended, at all. Now, could he slide into a 5, maybe 4-eye, stuff like that? Yeah, sure, maybe. But yeah, him being a nose isn't going to happen. I like what Carson said in here. Carson mentioned Jordan Renaud and Jeremiah Beeman, 2 names that you definitely should keep an eye out for. Jordan Renaud, I'll start with him again. Jordan Renaud is a guy that similarly, he's got a frame like that where you're talking about 275. But the reason I like Jordan Renaud is just watching him work. I've seen him a lot, at practice, in the spring. He's a guy, his freshman year, I think he came in at like 245. He was a little bit on the, slimmer side of things. He was more of an outside linebacker guy. Now he's up to about 270. But normally when guys go from 245 to 270, they don't really lose a whole hell of a lot of that athleticism, meaning this guy still can really get after it. And he's got really good technique. You watch his pass rush ability. I mean, I don't know if he's really worked with a lot of guys or what, or it just comes natural to him. But Jordan Renaud is a guy where you can see the pass rush ability flashes. He had a half sack last year, was a rotational guy. But I'm telling you right now, if he was at a school where he was, getting a little bit more opportunities, he would definitely, have, much higher production there. That being said, I think he's a guy that you might see really add to that pass rush game. He also mentioned Jeremiah Beeman, and Carson mentioned this as well. That's a guy that a lot of people in that building are high on. A guy that you could see, working himself into kind of that co-start role. And I know that sounds kind of crazy because you're like, well, what about Tim Keenan? What about James Smith? I'm just telling you guys. I mean, Jeremiah Beeman has been really impressive, especially this spring, and I think he's really working himself into the rotation where you might really see him a lot across that defensive line unit. But I do agree with Cole saying the quick twitch unit, not really the most impressive there. I mean, but to be fair, I think this group it's an interesting group, man, because they're big, but they're athletic, but they're not the most quick twitch. It's really hard to really put like a finger on it, if that makes sense. Because I mean, if you look across the board, Keon Keeley is now up to like 270. I just mentioned Jordan Renaud at 270. You got Kelby Collins, who's around 270. You got LT Overton around 270. You're talking about 4 guys, Latham, 4 or 5 guys that all are in that 270 range, but move a lot better than most 270 guys. So when he says like they lack that quick twitch, I don't think I would necessarily say they lack that quick twitch, so to speak. It's just more so. It's interesting. It's hard to explain. Like James Smith, like for a big guy, has quick twitch, 100%. Tim Keenan obviously is a nose, not going to go there. But LT Overton, I mean, I'm going to say this. I think Cole has him a little bit low for me. But to be fair, he also did say that you could put them at 3 and he wouldn't argue it. But his biggest concerns was the quick twitch, sounding like in the depth. I actually feel like, at least at the bandit spot, they have a lot of depth. They have a lot of depth there. Nose, maybe more like the interior side of things I could kind of see. Then he included the edge. I think Rousseau, he's right, really is probably the biggest ticket to have that type of success at that spot. But we'll see. But if I had to guess, he's definitely going to be my pick. Let's see what you guys also said here. I read this during the break, but for the radio listeners, Carson did say, I agree completely already. Rotationally, we are sound. My thoughts are almost exactly the same, except I believe Renaud and Beeman believe in them more than he does. He also feels that Keon Keeley can serve as an X factor if he gets rolling. I mean, you throw him in there. That's what I'm saying. When he says depth, it's like, is he only looking at like the interior spots, like pretty much nose and those threes? Because really all those guys I just named, depending on like the packages, like to me, I feel like we have solid depth where you can get in different packages and sub packages that can really give you a lot of different flexibility. For example, I just named all those guys at 270, you can play in a 3 technique, right? And if you want, like if Kane Womack wants, he can get into a more athletic front, like a more quick twitch front to like dice things up or pass rush type situations. If anything, I would say it's more so when you want to get into like those big, heavy physical fronts. That's why I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like I agree with some of what Cole's saying, but others I'm like, I don't know. But I also know, I mean, I've had the luxury of seeing these guys probably a little bit more than he has. So, I mean, maybe that's it. But Mike says fair statements, backups will be a concern with all teams going forward. True, given the statement of, the state of transfer portal. But I think we do have a solid group. Tia says, I wonder what our pitch is now at the D line. I knew from talking to recruits, Alabama had to overcome the bag to land guys in the system. They were told they would just eat up blocks. So initially, with Coach Saban's system, right, in our 3-4 defense, the system was designed around, and that's really, I mean, a 3-4 is kind of to do that, right? I mean, the linebackers are being fed everything. You need, in a 3-4, your defense linemen are much bigger. They're 2-gapping normally. They're eating up blocks for the linebackers to scrape over the top and make all those plays. So Tia is definitely right. But now with Kane Womack's system, you're seeing less of that, right? These guys are able to really get after it. So if anything, I would argue that it almost would be easier to sell a defensive lineman to come play here in this system, because this system is going to give them more of a luxury to do those types of things, to really just get after it. I mean, you're going to see more movement across the line. You're going to see more opportunities versus, in the past. And let me clarify. First, second down, right? Because again, stopping the run is the main priority. So yes, in those situations, it's about striking hands and hips, 2-gapping, playing on the other line of scrimmage, feeding those linebackers. Now we're talking about third down, pass rush situation. That's totally different. But again, those are sub packages. You get into a whole different. Your mindset completely changes. It's a whole different mindset. So, that's a good point though. You would think that defensive linemen would probably be a little bit more intrigued by this system. No different than even somebody like an outside linebacker. I mean, I even would say like the outside linebackers in Coach Saban's system, like without a doubt, you're much better in a system like Kane Womack's or one of these newer systems that really just give outside linebackers or really guys up front just the luxury to just be athletes and get after it. We didn't have that luxury, which I was okay with because I just knew, number one, the system brought success. You know what I mean? And number two, I wanted to be a part of the best program, the best team. Like if I had to sacrifice, sack production, stuff like that, I wasn't worried about that. I just wanted to go play with the best of the best and compete for championships. But if I was somebody that was chasing sacks, I wouldn't have looked at Alabama and said, oh, as an outside linebacker, I should go there. And I know you're like, well, what about Will Anderson? Will Anderson was doing that stuff out of, 4 eyes. And he was being put in positions where he shouldn't even have had that type of production. You look at, and that was one of the reasons I almost chose Georgia, was because I looked at how they play Leonard Floyd and they let those outside linebackers, they were playing in like true 9 techniques, really coming off the edge and getting after it versus us. When we were in our base front, there was a lot of times when I had to play a 6, I was playing a, flat foot, hand in the dirt, true 6 technique versus say even Leonard Floyd at Georgia, his 6 technique, he was in a staggered 2-point stance, totally different philosophy. Other opportunities is to really fly off the edge, which these guys get now. So that is a good point. Very interesting point. We got to hit a timeout. When we come back, I want to keep this conversation going. A lot of good conversation going on in the chat. We'll keep diving into it. I think we got Carson on the phone line, so we'll get to hear him. There we got Pat as well. We'll go to you guys and we'll continue breaking all this stuff down. This Free For All Friday right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts. Quick time out. We'll be right back.
Go inside the Alabama.
Let's see. I think he said some other stuff. I started talking about the edge group.
3 technique, can play maybe a little bit of nose if they had to.
So he was talking about Latham. That's where I was confused because I'm like, they just moved him to outside backer. I don't even think you really see him playing too much of a 3. But can he at 270 pounds? Yeah, but nose, no. And that's the only thing I'll say, guys. Like, again, I love Cole, great dude, man. But I'm like, I'm surprised. I'm like, a nose? I don't think I've ever seen. Maybe a sub package where you're just like trying to get your best rushers out there, and they had him. You know, you want your 4 best pass rushers out there, and he's lined up at the nose, which wouldn't be much different if I was. Hell, we had a package with the Panthers. We had 3 outside linebackers on the field and 1 defensive tackle. It was KK Short, Pro Bowler. You had Mario Addison, Bruce Irvin, and Brian Burns, right? So if you want to consider one of those guys lining up at nose, I mean, I guess you can. Let's see.
Even though you're going to have Tim Keenum to do a lot of that, they can move out, play kind of a 3-4 defensive end. They're athletic enough to move around a little bit and do some different things, but both are super heavy-handed. Now, the thing with this Alabama group, not super twitchy. Not a lot of guys are going to be disruptive shooting gaps. That's just kind of not who they are. I do think that Latham can do that a little bit. I think he has a chance to get in the backfield. It'll be problematic. And then one thing we're also going to do is we're going to sort of include some of the edge guys here because it's just a part of the group. I know it's a whole separate entity. When I went through this list and I'm looking at a bend and rip, possibly be a game takeover type for Alabama. I mentioned Tim Keenum. He's played a lot of good football for the Crimson Tide. I think he's going to be super solid. Is he close to his ceiling? Probably. It doesn't mean he's not going to be a beneficial player and somebody that can help you win games. You go get Kelby Collins from Florida. After a lot of the guys that we mentioned, Jeremiah Beeman, Edric Hill.
They like Edric Hill, too. Those young guys, I think, are going to step up more than people realize.
Issa Faga. I don't know which one of these guys comes in and provides. I know what you're going to get there. Second wave, not really sure. And that's going to be different than some of the other teams that we talk about. Times and has to stay healthy is how I would qualify this Alabama defensive line right now. 5A for me is going to be Tennessee.
Maybe we'll listen to some of those others in a little bit. We got the Pastor Payne on here, Tia. Ask and you shall receive. Let me put him, see if he's ready. You got the shades on. Oh, my God.
What it is, yo?
Oh God! All right, so he's definitely ready. So just to recap real quick,
it's 89 degrees.
We're about to come back here, but we're going to the phone lines. But we were listening to Cole Kubelik. He had Alabama at 5B. He did top 5, so basically last on his list, but of top 5.
Well, listen.
Hold on. We're about to come back. And we're back, and I'll be honest with you, Jaisha, I should have asked you this. I don't know if it's hard for me to. Are we coming back when we're coming back? Are we live when the music is already playing or when it stops? Just so I know. I just don't want to leave people waiting on us letting it play. Is it?
No, you're live. Like when I say 5 seconds, I'll go ahead and turn your mic back on, so
Okay,
that way
good.
when you say "and we're back," it's like spot on, so they can hear you. So they're not waiting.
Okay, perfect. So at 5, the mic is hot.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's what I thought. I just wanted because I was going to start jumping it at like 20, but I was like, wait, I don't think my mic's hot. All right, perfect. Thank you. Hey, this our first week working with Jaisha, and we're rolling as we go, and she's been doing a hell of a job, man. So appreciate all her efforts. All right, so we are back, and we're about to go to the phone lines. I was recapping with my dad. I keep forgetting. For our radio listeners, my dad is now joining us again. He's back on the YouTube stream again. If you guys want to watch us do the show, he's sipping his coffee. He's got his shades on. He's chilling. He looks like he's Mr. Cool right now. You can watch him, watch me go back and forth. But again, we listened to Cole Kubelik. We got his thoughts. He had Alabama at 5B in his top 5 defensive line units in the Southeastern Conference. We just heard that. Now we're going to let Carson respond to it. 205-342-9904 is the number. Carson, welcome in.
Afternoon, fellas. How y'all doing?
Doing well, man. How are you?
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm enjoying my work from home day. Just watching the podcast, watching all the radio shows. So I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I wanted to kind of chime in on it. Kind of going from the conversation yesterday about the defense. I know, Pastor, you're not as optimistic, but I'll offer a little bit of pushback. I think I think look, the new system with a lot of the responsibility in those run lanes being on the safeties and the outside linebackers, it really kind of shuffled up a lot of the stuff of what they were doing previously. And I do think we struggled with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here saying, I'm not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole here. We struggled. But I am optimistic with year 2 being in Kane Womack's system. I do think some of that vision-based stuff gets better. I trust the secondary, especially adding Bray into that starting role. I think that helps a lot with run fits, from the DBs. I think Keon has shown a little bit. He's a gambler, but I think that he's shown that he can do it as well. And having both of them being able to kind of thump and come downhill is going to be really big this year, second year in the system. And the games that we struggled with last year weren't just good running games, that like teams that had good running games, because it was teams that had that tried to create those mismatches, and our eyes were bad. I think that gets better. I'm optimistic that gets better. But look at the Tennessee game. I know that we gave up 200 yards on the ground by the end of the game, but at the beginning of the game, the first half, they couldn't do anything on the ground against us. I mean, Dylan Sampson, we fixed a lot of those problems throughout the year. But I don't categorize the Oklahoma game as a symptom of what we did well. I don't know if that makes sense, but I kind of categorize them differently. But I do think that the returning guys, while there's not a lot of stats on paper, not a lot of tape, I do think the talent is there. And like Christian was speaking before you got on here, Jordan Renaud is going to be a big part of that. I'm higher on him than Cole Kubelik was, and I'm higher on Jeremiah Beeman and Edric Hill to throw Edric Hill in there as well, who is a little bit. All the guys are heavy, but there's some twitchy ability for heavier guys. Now, we don't have a Dylan Stewart, but I think we're serviceable, and I don't want to get you guys' thoughts, but I don't think we're as bad as what people say, and I'm not as high. I'm somewhere in between. I think I'd put us at 3.
Yeah, and he mentioned if you put him at 3, he wouldn't really have much pushback. I would say I do agree with you. I think interior, like D tackles, nose. I guess I can understand why some people are kind of like wondering where that comes from. If you think about it, last year, I mean, Tim Smith, Tim Keenan, I mean, they were the 2 breadwinners of the bunch. You lose Tim Smith, Tim Keenan comes back, and really James Smith is a guy that he's got so much potential, man. Once that light comes on, I'd argue he ends up being better than either one of those guys. But, you know, when I mentioned all of those, when you have like 5 guys, and you heard Kane Womack talk about it, 275 pounders that are, heavy-handed guys, can set a firm edge, but have the, the flexibility of sliding around across the whole defensive line. That to me is solid, solid depth. And really it just, you got to figure out who's really going to step up, because you got a lot of guys that are pretty similar in terms of their body types. Is any of those guys, elite in terms of, I don't know, like you just mentioned, like a Dylan Stewart type? No, I don't see that out of that bunch, but it could be a strength by numbers group. It could have a couple guys step up and be. I mean, again, Jordan Renaud's a really good pick for like a dark horse guy. I mean, I'm curious what my dad thinks about about this. I already see him laughing. I already know what he's about to say.
No, I'm just sitting here. I'm enjoying. Listen, happy Friday, by the way, everybody. Happy Friday. I mean, it's TGIF, right? Thank God it's Friday. We all pumped up about that. But I'm enjoying y'all little back and forth combo, whatever, chapstick.
This
listen.
is not chapstick.
Okay. You ever heard that song, "Wishing on a Star"? You ever heard that song?
Mm-hmm.
Wishing on a star, find out who you are. I'm wishing on a star.
I don't disagree. I know where you're going.
This conversation is just wishing on stars, right? We wishing on the 4-star. We're wishing on the 5-star. Maybe potentially could this guy be a fast, twitchy type? Maybe. We're not sure yet, but I'm not okay. But listen, my point to all of this is, in all seriousness, this is Alabama. When have we had these conversations over and over, year after year like this? It's been such a long time. It's like there was so much confidence in this program with guys being the next guy up. Guys saying, you know what, coach saying, I'm not worried so-and-so gets drafted in the first round, or I lost 3 guys. Well, I got these guys, they're going to step right in and do their thing. Mac Jones at quarterback, sat for all those years. Boom, Tua goes. Everybody was concerned, worried that here comes Mac Jones. All he does is slice and dice and becomes a first-round pick himself. You had guys like that, right, that was in the cupboard just waiting. You had guys brewing to do something great for the University of Alabama. These guys, now it's like we're wishing on stars. Now, some of them could be okay, but the reality is there's a lot of guys on this roster that have played meaningful minutes, but yet they didn't just come out and just impress, right? They didn't come out and play enough solid football where people can say, you know what, I'm confident that so-and-so player is going to be that dude, right? That guy, that fast switch guy is going to get me, double-digit sacks. That guy is going to disrupt, the running games and the inside, heavy hands. They like to use that now, two gap and get rid of blocks, being able to shrug off blocks, that type of thing. They're just not, that guy doesn't exist. And here's, peep this out right now. I'm not saying that he's not there, but as we speak today here on a Friday, they don't exist. Now, we can wish on a star and say, well, I feel like so-and-so going to be this or that. But the reality is no one has shown that up front, I'm talking about the front 7, maybe not Dylan Stewart, but about Deontay Lawson, that if healthy, can play at that SEC high level caliber player that could do some things that we're all excited about. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, I think they got a plethora of good football players, right? They got a lot of good football players, but do they have great football players? Is anybody on this defense that will have a chance? You may say, well, Hubbard as a guy that might have that kind of big play potential, right, to be that next dude up. But other than that, is there a guy that we can sit back today and say, it's the prototypical Alabama dude that's going to be the next guy drafted in that first round of players?
Wait, are you talking about the front or the defense in total?
I'm saying the front 7.
Well, Bray Hubbard's a safety, but if you're talking about the front 7, like we got to hit this.
I know he's a safety, but I'm just saying he at least flashed signs of of greatness. Y'all agree with that?
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just saying overall, as the entire defense, he's the only guy, in my opinion, besides Deontay Lawson.
Xavier Brown is a true freshman last year. Did you not watch him at cornerback?
But he didn't flash greatness.
Yeah.
Dude, come on.
I'll chime in on it a little bit. I do think that in the DBs in general, I'm talking about the whole defense now, but I do think they have 3 NFL guys on that, like potential first, second round picks on that roster right now, in Zabian, in Damani, and I think Bray eventually will. I don't know how he translates, but I know that he can thump, and I know he can make big plays. So we'll see how that translates.
What about front 7? What about front 7?
Front 7. Look, LT Overton. I mean, he's proven it, right? I mean, he'll be at least no later than a day 2 guy, right? He won't fall past the second or third round. That's a fact. Tim Keenan, probably a mid-round guy, for being honest. But again,
LT Overton is playing out of position.
They got him at bandit, which is like a strong side end. Where do you recommend
I
playing?
think he needs to be inside.
But he does. They have the flexibility. He does slide around, but to me, I think he's fine there. I mean, you're talking about a guy that came in college as like an outside linebacker. James Smith, I know you haven't seen it yet, but I mean, you talk about all the tools, man. You can call that wishing on a star, but I'm just telling you, man. I mean, that dude, he's a good football player.
Well, what about Quay? I mean, Quay was great. I thought Quay played awesome for us last year. 2 interceptions, right? Had a lot of disruption and a lot of guys. And like LT, where it didn't show up on the stat sheet as much, there were a lot of pressures and disruptions that he had that just didn't convert them. But maybe year 2 in this system that turns into conversions. Like into sacks, into strip sacks, fumbles. And maybe it does that, and I'm optimistic on that. I think another year under Kane Womack does that. I don't want to take all.
Are you happy? Let me ask you this real quick. Are you happy with the what's happening with Womack? Are you saying? Do you think that he is that dude, that defensive coordinator? Are you happy? Right.
I think the verdict's still out. I'm not willing to write him off yet. I think I'm willing to give it another year and being the big change on defense of what we're doing dynamically and what we're doing with just changing roles and responsibilities a little bit, putting a little bit more responsibility on those outside lanes with the linebackers and the safeties as well to make those plays. I think that's just a big fit difference in the type of player that you're recruiting. And so maybe not too big of a difference, but it is a big responsibility change. And I think I'm willing to give that another year to where I want to see it this year. I do think there will be improvements. I hope I'm right. I might not be right, but I put my money. I put my money on it that it's better.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No,
wishing on a star. Boom, boom,
Carson, we got to hit this top of the hour break, man. I appreciate you calling, man. You have a great weekend, brother.
All right, Carson, take care.
Absolutely. You too, guys.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you. Good deal, man. Great call, man. Appreciate that, Carson. All right, we got to hit this top of the hour break. Went over a little bit, but excuse me, we'll get back on track after this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond.
You might need to go back and watch the tape, man. If you listed, the only guy you listed out at secondary was Bray, which again, phenomenal player, which I think he honestly is really going to have a great year. But come on,
Bray made more flash plays than anybody in that secondary.
Fair, especially given that he came on the scene late. Yeah, no, I'm not. Listen, listen. Y'all can go back and listen. I've been talking about Bray before he even really was on the scene because I was watching him do all that in practice. I was watching him lay the wood from that safety spot. I mean, that dude. I knew he was a good football player. Yeah, I agree, Southern. Great caller, man. Carson's great. What I was saying though is, listen, Xavier Brown, I'm telling you right now, you might not have, maybe because you're just thinking, oh, he's a freshman. You saw him make. I get it. You might have overlooked him a little bit.
No, I watched him.
Listen, trust me on this. He talk about next, young guy that's going to end up being a top pick. He's going to be a first round corner, man. I'm telling you, he's going to be a first round corner. Damani Jackson quietly had a really strong year last year, and then he's going to run well.
Those guys make all SEC.
You know what's crazy? I don't think they did. I think the only one on defense was Deontay Lawson, man. I don't even know if LT Overton made it. I pulled it up yesterday.
And Deontay Lawson made it
from every generation
half the year.
Say that one time.
You said Deontay Lawson made it last year?
Believe it or not, I think he was the only guy on defense.
How many games he missed?
Like one. He got hurt at the end of the year.
Okay. Thought he missed more than that, but
no, Keon Sabb broke his foot and missed the second half of the year. All I'm saying is and I wanted to get this, we just run out of time. We'll talk about it here in a second. But when you look at this, let's just say the front four, right? LT, Tim Keenan, James Smith, and Quay Russaw. I don't know why you giggling, man.
No, I'm laughing at Mike.
I was like, dude, I mean,
Studios in Los Angeles.
I'm not saying they're the most proven right now, or I'm just saying, to me, that's a strong unit, man. And if they stay healthy, it should be solid. The thing is, it's not wishing on a star. LT is not wishing on a star. Tim Keenan, you know what you're getting. That's not wishing. I mean, you're talking about a nose that's reliable. Those are facts.
I mean, these are average players. See, this what the confusion is.
But James Smith and Quay Russaw were top 5-star talent guys coming out of high school.
But my point is this. My point is,
I don't know. It didn't feel like anything.
Hello?
Oh no, that was the ad. I'll just make sure we're back.
My point, not just okay players. Alabama is used to having dominant.
LT is a projected first-round pick, man.
Where you see that at?
Dude, on like almost every draft board. Listen, I'll say this: I would not say he's a first-round lock right now. If I'm being, I'm with you. I know it's not. I'm just saying. I would say, I mean, late to early second. If we're being completely like honest here, but people are throwing him on, pretty much every early first round.
He's a big guy that might just be playing out of position. And maybe he's a guy that what they're looking at with his size and his speed and his little bit of twitchiness at his side. Maybe he has the potential.
Hold on, we're coming.
But I think he's playing a little bit out of position.
And welcome back into the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts. We're back here again. You guys are really in for a treat this week, man. 2 days in a row. You got both of us here live on stream, going back and forth. Friendly debates. Got some good calls going on, man. It's definitely been a great 2 days as far, and we're about to keep it going. This is hour number 2 officially underway.
Who's Kevlar? The world warrior reclaim your brain.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not
said
too sure what's Kevlar. Well, I'm saying I think he's new to chat. Shout out to Kevlar.
What's up, Kevlar?
What is catching your eye about what he's saying?
Well, I think he's going to join our group of chapstickers because what I'm saying is the wishing on the stars. I'm trying to give him a better name, okay? But my point is, Kevlar, listen, there is no stuff. So when I'm thinking Alabama, let's go back. Let's go, Christian, to 15, 16 through 19, your years, or 14 through 9, wherever you want to go. Mm-hmm. Give me 6 defensive linemen that you just throw out a name that you know that was the dudes.
Jonathan Allen.
1.
Deron Payne.
1.
Quinnen Williams.
1.
Are you saying like what round they went in?
No. But they're ones. I mean, they're balling in the NFL right now.
Oh, okay. Who did I say? I said Deron Payne, Quinnen Williams, Jonathan Allen, Jaron Reed. He's on like year 10 in the league. I mean, Dalvin Tomlinson. I mean,
there is a guy that came in maybe with you that didn't get a ton of. He played at Alabama, but nobody talked about him. But he's still in the league. Deshaun Hand. Y'all remember that name?
Yeah.
He's still playing in the National Football League.
Yeah. He just signed with LA. He was with Miami. Yeah.
What about even just recently when you left? We got 2 ends, 2 years in a row.
Are you talking about edge guys? Or
edge guys.
Yeah, you had Will Anderson, first rounder, obviously.
1.
Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, second rounder. Chris Allen, obviously, I think he's doing some like UFL stuff, but talking about a really good player in college, absolutely. Still a really good player what he's doing. Yeah, so you want me to keep naming guys?
No. But that's my point. Look at those guys. Would you think there's anybody? Here's my question: is there anybody on the team right now that you could say, okay, in that category? That's category A, if you will, that you just rattled off. Who would you put LT Overton that has let's not say potential, that have played up to that level in the last couple of years?
You said outside of LT Overton?
I'm saying that's been everybody's number one guy. He's projected. Y'all said.
Yeah,
so,
well, I'm about to pull it up.
Has he even played to a level that to those guys that you just mentioned? Has he played to that level?
I mean, what do you want me to do? Like a tier list? I mean,
No,
like
I'm just saying it's a simple question. That's like,
yeah, no, I'm saying like I would put him. Listen, you had guys that like Phil Mathis, you had guys like Byron Young. I would say he's in between that group and some of the guys I previously mentioned.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like and I think that's extremely fair. That type of player that you're looking for might not necessarily be there. Like LT is very active. You know, I think he's going to be a top pick. Again, when I say top pick, I'm not saying top 10, but I would think maybe chance to be, later first round pick, early day 2 guy for sure. Testing could, influence them anyway, but yeah, I think listen, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. You're just saying like you don't say like Quinnen Williams, right? But like who knows? I also urge you to remember this. I mean, Quinnen Williams, I don't know if you remember this. Quinnen was not the highest rated guy coming out of high school.
Okay.
Quinnen came in when I was like a junior, and he redshirted his first year, and he was behind the likes of a lot of guys you named, and we knew he had potential. We were seeing him do stuff in practice, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Nobody sat there and looked at Quinnen Williams, before he really stepped on the scene and said, oh, he's going to end up being a top 5 pick. Like we knew, like, man, he's nice, man. He's doing some good stuff, man. He keeps it up, man. He's going to be a hell of a football player at Alabama. But if somebody said, "Oh, we knew he was going to be a top 5 pick that early on," they would say they're lying. So my thing is, I know you're saying like wishing, but to me, like I've seen James Smith, behind the scenes, and you talk about the tools. I'm not just going off him. Like I know some people just say, "Oh, James Smith, he was a 5-star out of Carver." This guy. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I've seen this dude, really work, man, and he's. For a 300-pounder, I mean, the guy played edge in high school at 300 pounds. He's quick twitch. He can shoot gaps. He can play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. He's tough. He's got to be a little bit more, consistent in terms of, doing his job, his responsibility. Sometimes he can kind of improvise here and there. But he's got those tools, man. So, I mean, like, I'm telling you, say he steps on the scene this year and he ends up blowing out the water. To me, he's got the makeup at least. In the pedigree to be one of those guys you name. Has he done it yet? Am I putting a lot of money that he would or will? I wouldn't say just that because I think there's a lot of factors here. But talent-wise, he's definitely a very talented guy. I'm just saying, the front 4, I looked at group, I think we could play with anybody in the conference. Just being honest with you. Quay Russaw, dog.
Yeah. Well, Ted, and I mean, several people here on the chat saying, basically agreeing with me. By the way, Mike said, to the projected by day 2 pick, which is what you said, not first round pick. Corey said that player might not be there. Tia talked about Overton, and I am looking for Ferraris or a Lambo. I am looking for a guy that jumps off the screen. Like if you turn on the tape, you're looking for flash, right? Like with Alabama, if I'm turning on Alabama's tape and I'm a scout or whatever, I'm looking for that dude. I'm looking for the Dylan Stewart that shows up, that's beating one-on-one pass blocking. He's wreaking havoc. He's wrecking ship in the backfield. They can't block him. They got to keep a tight end or a fullback or they got to chip. They got to do things like this to stop him. I'm saying that dude does not exist for the Crimson Tide. And I'm just looking back over the years, and I was just looking at certain things. Listen, they have not recruited well, in my opinion, to the level of what Nick Saban was getting. And it's starting to drop off even when he was there. That is one of the position groups that, in my opinion, that Alabama started to lose ground to Georgia and others, because where they dominated the game for so long, even before you went there, when I was doing sideline reporting, when I was doing TV, covering games, right? The thing that Alabama was known for is physicality, was toughness, was trench play. They weren't a lot of flash on the outside there. They didn't have, Julio came through Jones, turned things around. But when you talk about this overall skill set on the outside receivers, they had good guys, but they didn't have a ton of great, flashy, sexy players there. But on the inside, in the box, when the game was talked about playing in the box, I go back to LSU, Alabama. I go back to even the year you was there at LSU when it was Jalen Hurts. It was like a 13-9 or 13-3 game where it was about who the one that could survive the trench play. I mean, it was banging heads in the trench. So they had those dudes that could play on Sunday and play that type of football. And on defense, they had guys where Cole Kubelik wouldn't be sitting there going, well, I don't know about the Twitch guy. They don't have that guy. I mean, that to me.
But I got to give you pushback, though. Before I got there, one really like that. To be fair, they had dominant linebacker play, but they had a lot of unsung heroes on the defensive line. I mean, the Jesse Williams, the Josh Chapmans, Damian Squares. Those guys weren't like, crazy high draft picks in the NFL. They played in the league, and they were hella.
Yeah, really but they dominated. Here's the thing.
No, they were. I'm just saying, but they weren't like crazy quick twitch type thing. I mean, like they just were hard nosed, physical. Choke you out football players, and I'm telling you, ask Dante Hightower, C.J. Mosley, any of those guys, they would probably tell you those defensive linemen, man, eating up those blocks and being those physical monsters that they were. They really helped them out tremendously, man. So
what I'm saying is, Alabama has lost toughness. Mindset, in my opinion, some that determination or the will not to lose. I've seen that go out the door. And that changed a lot last year. That's why I spoke from the mountaintop of what.
But now you can go back to 2022 if you really want to.
Right, if I want to
do that.
But I'm just saying, they got to find them dudes again because you need guys that can command the locker room, that can command huddles, that how they practice, how they go about their business, how they work out. First one at workouts, first one at fourth quarter, the first one in meetings. Leaders that has a standard based on the coach. Now, here's the thing, people. I'm gonna say, players take on the persona of the coach. The mindset of the coach last year was a soft, fun. Let people come hang out, let podcast people, let Roll Tide Willie. It was loosey-goosey, players coming in late. Players take on the persona or personality of their head coach. And that's what happened to this football team. Now they got to go find that again because they have lost that. The respect level for Alabama football has gone way down, in my opinion. And because losing to Vanderbilt, because getting dominated in the trenches by Oklahoma, running for 200+ yards. Like when they had a chance going play against a Michigan team in a bowl game that their best player didn't even play, and you still lose. When you start losing games like that, people start looking at you differently. And now Alabama's got to find a way to get back that respect. I like what Ryan Williams said, but talking is we've heard that before, right? We heard it from Tyler. We heard, oh man, we getting back to the standard. We getting back to making people quit. You remember the offensive lineman talking all that noise? We ain't see none of that. So they got to go out there and prove that they can get that back. And Kalen DeVore, it starts at the top with him, and it starts with those assistant coaches demanding the excellence from their players, demanding being up on meetings at times, demanding finishing drills, demanding running your routes full speed, demanding all this stuff.
That's true.
Soft and undisciplined is right because that's who their head coach was. And until he changes, the locker room is not going to change.
We got to hit a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll keep the conversation going. 205-342-9904 is the number if you guys want to jump on here with us. Debate, discuss, whatever you guys want to do. It's a free-for-all Friday. We got Pat. We'll go to you. Plus, we got a super chat we'll read when we come back. All coming up right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I want to tell you about our great friends over at Brian Hardy Construction, located in the heart.
Yeah, what is they talking about? That ain't too far. They throw parades. Yeah, Vanderbilt. That means Vanderbilt. Michigan didn't throw a parade when they beat them 2 years in a row. Just saying.
I'm just telling you, man. If you go back and watch these, I think you're underselling a lot of these players, man. I'm just being honest with you. And listen, you know me. Like yes, I try to see things down the middle the best that I can. I try to be glass half full, but at the same time, I'm also very honest. Look, they'll show you better than I could even say. You'll see, man.
And I hope that's what we see.
Yeah, I mean, if any, even like a guy like Justin Jefferson, like who he might not stand out to you, but I just know if
He's
he
a good
builds off,
player.
building off what he did, like you talk about a physical guy, fast, flying around the field. This system, did wonders for him. I mean, he was, struggling a little bit with the previous system, was throwing a lot at him. This one lets him just be who he is, and that's just a dude that flies around seeking the football. He's gonna have a good year, right? I mean, you're bringing that guy from Colorado, another good rotational piece at linebacker. I mean, that's what I get what you're saying. The problem is we're always the problem with Alabama, man, is that we're always comparing to what it was between 2009 and 2020, and the reality is that's just not. It's not fair to these guys. It's not realistic given the landscape of college football.
But that's the standard.
But you get what I'm saying? But how long can we sit there and like try to compare? Like, I agree with you because hell, I helped contribute to that standard. Like, I'm with you, man. But at the same time, I also understand that with NIL and the dynamics of recruiting and transfer portal, trying to get those type of players, it's not easy. Now, I will say this though. With that being said, these guys that they brought in this last recruiting class, man, they got some good players. Like, definitely on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Dejon Lee, I mean, that kid's like a 6'4" cornerback, this guy right here, who I think is going to be a really good football player. Ivan Taylor, he's the son of what's his name? Ike Taylor, I think. Is that
Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Good football player.
Yeah.
This guy just got here. I hadn't seen him because he's a summer enrollee, but supposed to be good. I saw this Duke Johnson linebacker play some this spring. Looked to be solid. But, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, the days of you seeing a defensive line unit with the talent we had, I don't know if you still see that. I mean, think about Clemson. Would you say that they've been the same since they had their run on guys on their front seven? I know a lot of people are really high on – a lot of people – well, Todd McShay has about 5 or 6 of them going in the first round on a way too early. But I'm just saying, I don't even think you see it with a team like Clemson. Like, I just think college football is different.
I wait on the mail jeep to pull me up with $10 million checks too.
Oh God! All right, we're back home. And welcome back into this Free for All Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Pastor Payne, myself, are going back and forth yet again on the live stream on YouTube. Check us out there at the Miller's Edge. Plus, we got us a little we got ourselves a super chat here, and we're probably going to get copyrighted for that. Got a super chat from Kevlar, who you were mentioned in the chat. He says, great show, fellas. Appreciate the great Bama content and Roll Tide. Just watch. That front seven this season is going to surprise you, Pops. Look, I'll say this, man. I think they'll be better than what people might anticipate. I'm just excited to see, like, really who's going to be the guy to step up that we might not really be talking about. Maybe we're talking about them on this show because we cover a lot of these guys, but could it be a Jordan Renaud, Jeremiah Beaman, any of those guys? Maybe that'll be excited. But big thanks to Kevlar for that super chat again. If you
Thank you, Kevlar.
Yeah, we'll
the weld. He's a welder, then, right? That's what I mean. What is the weld warrior? Reclaim your brain. I like that. Reclaim.
Not sure, but if it's a business or something, man, shoot, if you're dropping a super chat, go ahead and shout it out. But shout out to Kevlar. All right,
man. Let me get them. Hold on a second. Okay. You want me to leave Roll Tide Willie alone? Okay, I'll leave him alone. But I wasn't getting on him. I was making a point about killing the boar.
Wait, what happened?
Ted was like, leave Roll Tide, like a dead horse. But my point is going back. You still got to go back as a point of reference of last year. And my point was, it's the persona of your coach. Players take on the personality of your coach, is my point. And you can't allow these things from the outside to penetrate your locker room, right? You got to build a fence. You got to build a fence around that. I mean, that's the sanctity of the locker room is what I'm talking about. And there's a reason why players were saying, you know, about the meetings and things. So it was telling everybody that they were loosey-goosey. Well, I'm praying that he learned from that. Can't be. It's kind of like parents trying to raise children and be their best friends. Well, it don't work. It don't work, right? You can be disciplined and love at the same time, but you can't allow, you know, people to do all these different things when you're trying to build a disciplined program. And it showed. It showed in penalties. It showed in jumping off sides and all these things that was going on.
But what about when Coach Saban was dealing with all
thing,
that?
because Coach Saban at the end, and I said this, he started getting a little loosey-goosey. He wasn't yelling, screaming like he used to. I got concerned, and I said this when I was watching the game. All he did was this: arms crossed. He wasn't getting mad, cussing you out like he did when you jumped off sides. He wasn't spitting and yelling, screaming obscenities to players. He just walked and paraded the sidelines with his arms crossed. Things didn't bother him as much. So you could see that, okay, this is coming to an end because he wasn't the same. And the reason why he wasn't the same, Christian, is because all this stuff, NIL and things were starting to change, and all this stuff affected how he could coach, right? A coach was to tell me, and Lou Holtz actually said this, great coaches coach every player fairly, but not the same, right? There's players that I know that when you're coaching that I can push their buttons. I could have cussed them out. I could be in their face. I might can chest bump them or whatever, grab them and jerk them back. They ain't gonna go make a Instagram or a TikTok about it. And
what?
Instagram. Instagram. You know, they're not gonna do that, right? So my thing is, now Coach Saban was like, I can't do that to these kids because they're going to go and get their phones. You know, they're going to be like this right here in the locker room. They're going to be secretly videoing. Now they got, you know, meta glasses I can look at. Looking at you, I got my bifocals on. I'm recording everything you say. I mean, so all this stuff made Coach Saban soft, made Coach Saban not be able to coach the way old school like he likes to be. And therefore, the program became soft. And Ted's right. That last year or two, Coach Saban wasn't the same, nor was his program. Yet they still won. I mean, the year before he retired, they won in the SEC, right? They made the Final Four. So it wasn't like they still got there, but you can see the regression. That's all I'm saying, folks. Alabama is Alabama. Nobody's arguing 18 national championships. Nobody's arguing, you know, what had happened was in the last decade and a half. Nobody's arguing that. But if we've been honest, this program, they won 2020, they won the COVID year, right? Mac Jones. Is that correct? The year. And then they won an SEC title, beating Georgia with Jalen Milroe. They won an SEC championship, and they went to the football playoffs and lost to Michigan, and then Saban retired. So now they're under new tutelage, and it even got worse. That's all I'm saying. It got worse. It got worse. The mentality, the program, the toughness, the standard. Right? That's all that was talked about. It was like it's like Nick Saban, like you spoke just like he spoke. Every player, when they had that interview, it was as if Coach Saban was doing the interview through the player, because players take on the personality of the coaches. That wasn't true with these players last year, Malachi and all these. I mean, I wasn't mad at him throwing helmets and wanting to fight. At least somebody showed that they dadgummit cared. Like, they get their butt kicked by Vanderbilt, and like guys not even responding. Who's on the sideline, players in somebody's face When the last time you see that at Alabama? When have you seen a player in another player's face, or their defensive line, or the linebacker group, or the secondary, when they've given up big plays or messed up, somebody's taken charge and said, this is unacceptable. Like, this is ridiculous. You didn't see that the last 2 or 3 years at Alabama. You didn't see the Ronnie Harrison and boys over there about to put these things on you. You didn't see that because they were going to make sure younger players and others were held to that Bama standard. And they don't have this now. Now, can we look at it and say they got talent, wish on the star, and this player going to be that? He's a 5-star, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you can do this all day long. But if we're looking at it from what was built and what they try to continue to keep, well, it's gone. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, there's going to be some truth to what you're saying that I agree with. I mean, some of it I definitely think is a little. I mean, I just urge you to remember. I mean, and you mentioned it, but before Coach DeBoer got here, that we already have been talking about a number of these issues. It goes back to my point about stock market's doing this, but the bonds and other things, inflation reports are showing, a lot of stuff under the surface that a lot of people are just looking over. That was kind of the case. There's a lot of stuff brewing under the surface, the undisciplined penalties, the lack of attention to detail that we have been seeing again before Coach DeBoer got here as well. So I think it's more so of a sign of, changing times. You know what I mean? It's like this generation's different. NIL guys don't respond the same. Priorities have changed. But anyway, we got to dive into a timeout before we dive back into this conversation. We got Pat and Robbie on the phone lines. We're going to get to them when we come back. Hope you guys have some good stuff because we definitely we've been talking a lot, so we want to get y'all's thoughts on this. So 205-342-9904 is the number to the program. Quick timeout. We'll be right back. Yeah, I was going to use that example, Tia. Smitty was one of those guys that would, really put his foot down and jump guys. And it's unfortunate he transferred, but again, I mean, I don't blame him one bit, knowing all the circumstances with that whole thing, man. I can't even blame him one bit. Q, you tripping, man. Would you say shut up and play football, man? Now, all right, now, if it was if somebody else said that with the whole shut up and dribble now, that was a problem now. You can't be you tripping on that one, man. That's crazy. What else we got? It was DeBoer's first year. It wasn't his team. I don't blame him. Yeah, I mean, and I'll add this. I factor that in. I mean, I can only imagine you taking over for the GOAT, trying to implement your system, but also knowing, I mean, you still are inheriting everything, well, all the players, everything that he had built, and trying to strike that perfect balance. I mean, that's not easy at all. Do I feel like he did not put his foot down enough? Yes. I'll be honest with you. And I would tell him that if I could offer just my opinion, which, not sure how much that even matters, but no, I would have said that. I would have said if I could give my honest assessment, I would say that he didn't put his foot down probably enough. But I also would understand if part of that was coming from first year taking over a new program that there's just so many layers to it, right? I mean, I can only imagine it's not easy, right? But do I and I hear what my dad's saying, and then I agree, a lot of players do take on the persona. Trust me, I was going to tell him, but we're trying to get the break. We got people on the phone lines. He was talking, so I was like, I'll say it during the break. But yeah, it's like, and I'm not trying to just do that to be in the middle. I'm just being completely transparent. Like, I don't feel like he, put his foot down enough, but also understand it being your first year that you might not really be able to do everything exactly the way you want to do it. I mean, even like how I've seen him this
100.9.
this spring and things like that. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden he's yelling more or doing this or that and third. No, but you can just see there's or just sense there's a little bit. The approach is just slightly different, right? It doesn't feel as much like bringing the guests and stuff. Last year definitely felt, you could feel, at least in the spring, not training camp, I'm not necessarily saying that, but in the spring, that there was the sense of we're trying to familiarize ourselves with everybody, or let everybody else be familiarized with us. And I get it. I mean, you have to make those relationships, but this year it definitely feels that a lot of people in that building took everything personal. Oh, you said it. You meant tell Coach DeBoer.
It's incredible.
He's so humble, man, that honestly, I probably could sit there and tell. I got to talk to him like 20. We talked for a while last week. I mean, honestly, probably 20 minutes. They finished.
Here's the deal.com.
They finished one of the events that they were doing, and me, him, and Courtney were talking. Probably it might have been longer. It felt like, it was probably 20 minutes, but we talked about a bunch of stuff, man. It's a really, really solid dude, man. But you can just, anyway, he can just
Real
tell,
cash back with ups.
year one's going to be year one. What else we got? We're about to come back.
Made around $300.
It's a sign of the times. Yeah, Carson, that's what I was saying. Like, these kids are just different nowadays, man. They really are.
To get an extra.
It's hard to. You're not going. That's why when we were watching that clip with Isaiah Horton, he's talking about, I just hand the ball to the ref, all that stuff. Like, it's very refreshing to see and hear stuff like that. It's like, man, and not that look. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with
Some of the storms
with being a little bit more flashy or this or that, but just in a day and an age where that's the norm, everything's very flashy nowadays. It's refreshing to kind of see a little more simplicity in this, guys that are a little more just, I'm just cool.
Yeah, I brought this for you.
91 degrees in
What is that?
My rookie helmet.
Oh, wow.
My first NFL helmet.
That looks old.
Thanks. 35 years.
Dang. That's crazy. And we're back. Free for all Friday edition, Miller's Edge, Title 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts. Real quick before we go to the phone lines, don't forget about our friends over at R&R Cigars. 20% off of any 20 cigars. If you're like my dad, you enjoy the occasional smoke here and there. You got to check them out, best humidor in the Southeast. You can always go to their website. If you're not local, rnrcigars.com. Take advantage of these deals. 20% off of 20 cigars. Bundle and match. Father's Day coming up. Great gift idea. Free shipping, $100 or more on that website, rnrcigars.com. But the real magic happens at the mansion. Again, 2703 Gary Fitz Street. You can go choose a number of cigars right there, premium cigars from their humidor. They got over 160 bourbons that you can pair up with your smoke. Plus, they've got a wraparound porch. They've got TVs throughout. They're always playing any and every sporting event. If you just want to go hang out, fellowship, have a nice time, watch some sports, and enjoy a nice stick, of course, check out R&R Cigars. Again, that's R&R Cigars, the official cigar provider of Alabama football since 2014. All right, we're going to go to the phone lines now, 205-342-9904. Pat's been patiently waiting. Pat, welcome in, man.
Hey, first I'll tell you about R&R Cigars. I don't smoke them, but I got a girlfriend that smokes one with her boys every once in a while, and they provided me with a beautiful wooden box in order to send the cigars to ship them over to Mississippi, and they were going to California or somewhere. But anyway, I just want to tell you that they will fix you up for shipping. And but I don't smoke them myself, so I don't know how good they are, other than they're supposed to be the best.
Yeah.
But
I'm good, Pat. They're good.
Okay. All right. Hey, Corey, I'm so happy that you're with us at because you brought up, I want to talk about a player coming in this weekend, his defensive players, one coming in this weekend and one currently on staff. I want to talk about the one that's currently on staff. You brought up Deshaun Hand. Deshaun Hand, will you agree that when he came into Alabama, he was one of the most highly touted defensive players that we've ever had at the university? Is that not correct?
From a recruiting standpoint, yeah, he was. I think was he the number one player in the nation?
He was number
on
one.
Some sites.
He was number one.
Exactly my point. Who do we have currently on staff that came in with accolades almost identical as my cousin Benny, I live when that lawyer said identical to Deshaun Hand, one Keon Keeley. Am I correct?
I don't think he was quite number one. He was like top 5, top 10 player. I think.
Exactly, but way up there, up there. Hadn't been able to do what we thought he was going to do. However, it's time this year for him to put up or shut up. Do y'all not agree?
I'll say this. I mean, and I know him really well. Great young man. He's been working extremely hard.
I like him too.
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, look, there's a lot of depth in that room. I think he's going to definitely have the most opportunities that he's seen, this far in his career. But when you look at the depth chart, I mean, LT Overton, they just brought in Kelby Collins from Florida. Jordan Renaud, we spoke highly about. Then you got Keon Keeley. So, he's going to find his way on the field. Obviously, he's going to be sharing some snaps. But, I'm excited to see what he can put together this year. Now, is it going to be some big, 10-sack season? I mean, I don't even think he'll have the opportunities for that, given all the guys at his name. But I think he is finally going to take a big step. But, that's why, Pat, you know this as good as anybody. I mean, everybody's journeys are different. I mean, maybe it's not this year, but, hell, I'd imagine before he leaves here, he's going to let himself be known, man.
Yeah, you was talking about players being light and loafers. We got one coming this weekend. This weekend is highly, highly, highly touted. Just decommitted from out in California. He didn't want to be a surfer boy, but Xavier Griffin, 205 pounds. That's pretty light for a linebacker in the SEC, is it not?
Inside or outside backer?
I think he's an outside backer.
It's not too light. It's definitely not too light.
Well,
they're going 205, and he's 6'4". He's going to be 230.
Well, if he's 205, right, you're talking about to play right now at 205, it's too light.
Currently it's 205. You're going to have to take and put 5-pound girdle pads on him on each side.
Well, listen, if anybody knows the thing or two about this, I do, because I came in at 205, but I left 247.
Exactly my point. You came in off of skinny too.
Yeah, I did, man.
That's what I was just fixing to talk about, his nutrition program. Whoever his mentor was, like you, that Daddy, hey, I'd have had your butt ready at 225 at least.
No.
Yeah, if only the anatomy works like that, Pat. Unfortunately, it's not that easy.
We're gonna give some steroids.
I used to eat all the time. I mean, I could down a whole pizza, Pat, and I wouldn't gain a pound, man. My metabolism was just like that, man. It honestly, like all jokes aside, it took me literally months of drinking a blender full of
protein shakes, ice cream, man. Blue Bell shakes, one for lunch, one for supper, and one for bedtime.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let me just say this: you get a guy that's okay in today's game, right? They like to use the word edge, which I call them outside linebackers, which is what they are, 3-4 type of dudes. So you want to find a guy in high school that's that size, because what happens, how coaches look at this. So let's take Christian. He's 6'4", 205, 208, whatever he was. He might have fluctuated between 210, 205, right? But you look at the wingspan, you look at his height, right? And when you got a nutrition program the way Alabama had at the time, better than anybody in the country back in those days, when they had Scott Cochran that was amazing at, developing and changing the bodies, that he had the frame to be 245, right? They knew he wasn't coming in ready to play at 205, especially when they were at the verge of, the game was changing, right? Texas A&M just come in and beat the brakes off of them with Johnny Manziel. They had outside backs like Denzel and those guys that couldn't run, couldn't change directions, had no hips, right? So they knew that we got to go find athletic, long, rangy guys because this is what the game is changing into. So they find the Christian Millers. They find guys like that are long and rangy, can play what they call the edge. And they don't need him right away, but they know they got a couple of years to get him to where he needs to. I mean, strength-wise, what's bench press and all that. That took time. So that's okay. I would look at a guy and say, okay, he's this right now, because what they're doing is seeing him today, but they're looking at more what he's going to project to become. That makes sense? And what they're going to do with that body type and his size. Here's the thing. There's a reason why a guy 5'10" and 5'11" they're not going to be SEC guys, because they can't make a guy be taller. Like Christian had, God gave him, 6'3", 6'4", 6'10", 7, the wingspan there, right? But they can put weight on him. They can feed him. They can give him shakes. They can lift. They can do deadlift. They can do bench press and squats to build up the thighs. So that's what they look for. So and now you don't have to be as big to play those positions, especially at outside, because the physicality of the game isn't the same. Teams are going to try to trick you and now outnumber you based on the field versus mono block you and change the line.
Everybody don't have Derrick Henry.
No, that Derrick Henry don't exist no more. I mean, Derrick Henry would have to play defensive end now if he came to Alabama.
Oh no! Derrick Henry's still running. He's still running 22 miles an hour, Corey. He's still running 22 miles an hour.
They had two dudes in the backfield last year that could run. Did they get in the ball? Pat, I'm asking you a question.
Hey, you have a blessed day, sir.
How many carries them two really nice running backs they had last year? How many did they get? One of them is gone. That should tell you how many carries he got. He left.
Yeah. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Take care, Pat. All right, we got to hit this timeout. We come back. We wrap things up on this Free For All Friday edition of Miller's Edge.
Where's KJ?
I don't know. We'll see if he.
He babysitting.
But we've got.
He's changing.
Yeah, he's babysitting.
Hey, he's cleaning up poop.
We do have Robbie Glenn on the phone lines. We'll go to him when we come back and wrap things up right here on this Free For All Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, Title 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
You've been listening to the Miller's Edge, tackling sports daily.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama, we are here treating patients from every generation.
Well, I guess you still are listening to the Miller's Edge. We got one more segment, guys. We got Robbie Glenn on here and wrap things up. Let me try to catch back up on some of this stuff in the chat. Appreciate all the activity in the chat, man. Always makes it a lot more fun when we can respond and talk with you guys. These players have lives inside the podcast. They're not slaves. I'd rather them podcast and street race and chase women. Facts. Plus, I mean, guys, you're talking about, guys getting paid and stuff, man. You got to remember, I mean, if we're not going to be the highest bidder, you got to also be able to offer resources to generate more money. What's one way of doing that? Podcasts and media. Now, you can't do it with everybody, but if you got a guy like Ryan Williams or let's say Jalen Bachway, who's on that podcast, right? He's got schools offering him more money, but you're not necessarily trying to match that. Well, you can always say, hey, we got your podcast we've been building up. We can make X amount from here and this and that. So I just urge you guys to remember that. I get sometimes it feels like, oh, we're tired of podcasts being like a distraction, but just like Tia said, and I'll even double down on it, man. If they're not doing podcasts, I'm not saying they're necessarily out doing bad stuff, but like like we're humans too, right? We're students too. I'm gonna say we're because I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm about to be 29, but teenagers too. You know what I mean? So they're 18, 19 years old. Yeah, we're consumed with football without a doubt. Weights, meetings, school, everything. But outside of it, I mean, they're playing video games. You know what I mean? Like they're going out to eat. You know what I mean? Like they go hang out with some friends, right? Like, so them doing a podcast, I'll be honest with you guys, is really the least of my worries. They do a great job at it. And I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, the way the school has it set up, like I do all my stuff. Obviously, you know, Jaisha, Chase, and everybody on that end behind the glass, they're the ones running that part of the ship. But with the YouTube, with the designs, with everything, I mean, I do everything. You talk about it being a distraction. Yeah, if they were sitting there doing everything that I do, right, in terms of all the technical work, yeah, that could definitely be, you know, taken away from your focus on football. They're not doing that. You know, the school is literally setting it up. They've got everything for them. They just say, hey, we're going to film an episode at X time. You know, come, y'all be here at 7:30. We're going to film a quick podcast. Boom, 30 minutes and they're done.
Right.
I mean, I would not know a specific number. I mean, I'm sure I could give you a ballpark, but I don't want
to call them. Tell them, you know, gotta get that cheese.
Now it is a 48-minute game.
Hey, what's up, Q? My boy Q. On here, I want to shout him out. What's the New Wave podcast, Christian?
That's the podcast I was talking about, Ryan Williams. Take care, Mike. Yeah, we got one last segment. We're going to get to a caller right here. And then,
hey, Mike. Where is two-time Tommy?
And welcome back into this free-for-all Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, Hot 100.9, 1230 WTBC. About to wrap things up, but we got one last phone call to get to. Mr. Robbie Glenn on the phone lines. Robbie, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Christian. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You know, still dealing with my son, Stryker, but this is the first time I've called and talked to both y'all since October, that Friday before we played South Carolina. So I had to call back and go ahead and eat that humble pie. And I thought we were gonna curb stomp South Carolina after that loss to Vandy, and it just didn't happen. So you were right. You were right, Corey. So I guess I owe you a cigar and some bourbon at R&R one day when you come in town.
Come on, baby. Listen, I got a place for you, brother. When you come, mark it down. I can take you to my spot. I got a lock over there. They got a golf simulator that's been put in next week. I want to take you there. It's called Smoke Break here in Columbia, man. So make sure we stay in touch so we have a good time.
All right, we'll try to do that. And that's the other. How are you going to play off on homecoming? Are you trying to disrespect us there too?
I mean, listen, you know, homecoming, man.
Is there homecoming?
Yeah, it's the Kings.
Yeah, South Carolina homecoming.
Man. That's what I'm telling you, bro. That's the disrespect now with Alabama. Nobody's, we used to be scared to play Alabama on homecoming. We're gonna get curb stomped. We knew that. Y'all gonna take us back to the woodshed and be like, "What I tell you? Don't show up today." Like our mom used to beat us. And so, but now we looking at y'all like this, bro. Y'all really want some of this right here? We got 6'3", 240 coming down here on quarterback counters. We got Dylan Stewart coming up on the other side when you got a quarterback that's like a statue. Can't move like Jalen Milroe. Bro, we got some dudes. I'm just trying to tell you.
Come on, man.
It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game.
It's going to be a heck of a game, but I don't think, Christian, I don't think the players really care if it's homecoming or not. When when you step on that field, it didn't matter. The fans get fired up, and it could be some, because we're playing Oklahoma for homecoming. So, I know. So, I mean, the fans get involved in. But back to, I still think Alabama's a standard. I don't think we've lost it. We don't step off the bus and beat you like we used to. But it's hard nowadays for the players, I think, to be the leaders of the team when they've only been there a year. They're coming in, like one player transfers as a junior. Has he earned the respect of his teammates? Yeah, he's good on the field, but is he that player that can go and start getting on the other players for not doing their job because he's only been there a year? Like, we don't have those guys that have been in the system 3-4 years. Now, we have Deontay this year. He could be the leader because they respect him. He's been there. He's been through the grind. But with the transfer portal, how do you get that respect back from the players to be vocal if they've only been there a year, or, if they're not starting, they transfer? It's just the game's changed, and I don't know how you get that mentality back how you can be that leader. Christian, I said before, y'all used to come back and talk to players, or players would come back and talk to y'all what the standard was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's doing that now? Because, I mean, players are leaving left and right.
Both Scarborough tried to do that about the mouthpiece thing.
Yeah, well, they got
back.
offended the way he went about it. I think he kind of went at him a little bit after a workout, and they thought he was coming at him, but it was really just a place of passion. But they actually still do have a lot of guys that come back. Matter of fact, this past spring, I mean, they'd have guys like Ryan Anderson. He was in town. He spoke to him. How was the offensive tackle? Was it James? First Coach Saban's first, one of his first.
Carpenter?
Was it? No, not Carpenter. Maybe I'm mixing him up. I played him in Baltimore though. God, what is his name, man? Anyway, he was working with one of the linemen, I think, and he was in town. Anytime like a guy's around, Coach DeBoer always invites him to speak to the guys after practice. So there's still guys doing it. I'll be honest with you, Robbie. The bigger issue is how do these guys really respond to it? I mean, the reality is, I don't feel like they have the same reception as like we did. For example, like when we were here and we had somebody come speak to us, you know, I don't know why, but the level of respect was just a lot different. The way we really listened and wanted to hear what they had to say, because we were trying to get to where they were at and what they were. Maybe it's because NIL. I think I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think a lot of these younger guys have a little bit more egos than we did. Not saying we didn't have them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But I do think it is a little bit harder to really get to these younger guys when they're making, not all of them, but some guys are literally making more than some of these guys in the league, man.
Yeah, and that comes back to those hard-nosed coaches like Coach Saban. They're not listening to them anymore. Those coaches are gone because, like you said, they're egos. They get yelled at, they transfer.
Listen,
I don't know.
We need some toughness in the coaches. We need some toughness in the staff.
Well, I agree.
You know, somebody that say, you know what, we're looking for these kinds of dudes with these types of mindsets. That's pliable. That's you know, kind of like the pot in the clay that can be shaped and molded into what we're looking for our program to become. And they don't have these guys. Listen, I don't want these kids today concerned more about podcasts. They're more concerned about likes and all this foolishness. Give me some real dude. Go give me a 3-star that I can develop into a 5-star. I don't. That's the kind of coach I would be. I know I need some talent in certain positions, but give me some dudes, man, that will really go out there and work their tails off and understand what we're trying to get them to become. As Nick Saban said, teach them how to fish, right? Teach them how to become an NFL player and be in an NFL locker room. That stuff was taught, man. Bama was like NFL light. I'm just trying to tell you, bro. And right now, they got to get that back. And they're going to get back to SEC champions and playoff contenders. Then they got to get their minds right. As Coach Cock always say, get your mind right. If your mind ain't right, your play going to be lights. And I might write that down the front.
Yep.
There you go. Robbie, we appreciate you, man. Hey, man, and definitely thank you, Striker, man.
Have a great weekend, brother.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Be blessed, bro. All right, man. We got to get out of here, guys. Appreciate everybody. Great week as always. Appreciate Jaisha taking over, handling.
Thank you, Jaisha.
Definitely still
go
thinking
G,
about
man.
him.
Jaisha, can you say go G, man?
Go G, man. Y'all are so welcome.
There you go.
Yeah,
baby.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get out of here. We got Wyatt and T-Town Sports Daily coming up next. This has been the Miller's Edge, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. We'll see you guys next week.
You've been listening to the Miller's Edge Sports Daily.
From our
All right. Oops. All right. So that being said, YouTube stream's still going. We're off there on radio, but I ain't know.
Q Dog. What's that? Q Shep?
That's Q06. Quentin from yesterday is QD.
Oh, that's 06. What's up, 06?
Yeah. Q Shep is Q06, and then Quentin was QD. Yeah.
Well, where is Tommy?
I hadn't had Tommy call in a minute, man. I think softball season ended, and I don't know. I hadn't heard from him about a week or so, but he's good. Yeah, everything else is good.
Make sure the boys all right. Getting paid as commitments, just try to retain. Wow.
Yeah, no, they do stuff like that. They actually get paid to come on visits too. I don't know if you guys know that.
What?
Yeah.
Even if it's not official, just a regular visit?
No, well, yeah, probably some of those too, but yeah. I'm not saying everybody, but you definitely have guys getting paid to take visits. Yeah.
What Ted said? How many games? What? I just thought I saw something.
How many games y'all think Corey would win as a head coach? I don't know. His head coaching record as an indoor coach was not great. Not great. I don't know if that's.
What are you talking about? We had a winning record.
The Stingers?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah, we did.
No.
We won game over 500.
I'm gonna look it up because I don't believe that.
Listen, man, it's arena football. I mean, it's
just
it's like playing
stats,
football
man.
with a frisbee. I mean, if you let me go out there and play quarterback,
man.
It
says 1-7 on here, man.
What was my record?
1-7 allegedly.
No, my record as a starting quarterback.
I have no idea.
It was a 1-0. The only game we won when I played quarterback. So that should tell you some of the dubs I had on my football team. That I had to come out of retirement and play a position that I haven't played since high school and semi-pro with SEC, ACC, Big Ten players on these rosters. And I go out there at 35 years old and win a freaking football game. That should tell you something. That should tell you.
They should make a movie about this crap, man.
This is real. This is the truth.
This dude literally went from coaching the team to playing quarterback for the team.
And we won our only game against Jacksonville. That's it. Listen, I don't know what this guy where he got these kids and wanted me to coach, but they were terrible. It was like the bad news bears.
I wish the jerseys were fire though. The uniforms were tough.
The uniforms were tight. We look good. But let me just tell you this, man. We were traveling. And bro, when they pulled up them 2 buses for us to travel on, I was like, I'm gonna fly on y'all beat y'all.
Were they school buses? Wait, did you actually?
These buses were like 1960.
Oh man, that's messed up, man.
I'm like, man, I can't even take responsibility for these dudes. This bus is not going to make it. And truth be told,
wow.
One of the buses we go up to the mountains. They would go like West Virginia, somewhere up in there.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't make it up the mountain. It's like, I was like the coach / GM. Boy, I got hoodwinked. The dude stole all the money. All the money from the advertisements. We had to put the field in, all that. He didn't even pay for the field. I ended up having to get a guy that sponsored to pay money so we can have the game. That's how bad it was. I mean, this dude, well, I'm telling you, man, Reggie got my buddy Reggie that works at the CBS station here got the footage. I'm gonna get it because that level of arena football is terrible. It was fun though. Like we had crowds though. They would come out and watch us play, but we were terrible.
The starting quarterback ain't the coach. We need your coaching record. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean,
well, I was 1-0 as a player.
There you go, Bishop Sycamore. That's basically what they had going on.
I was. Well, you remember that quarterback from Kentucky, Jared? Something he passed away, by the way. Remember?
Oh, Jared. Yeah.
That big. He was like 300 pounds. That was me. That was me.
Yeah.
I played quarterback. Listen, I got hit so hard by a former Gamecock who played for Jacksonville. Oh Lord, that dude hit me so hard.
Wait, he played at Carolina?
Yeah. I got right up to. He thought he'd knock me out. I got right up and ran a touchdown play out. That's what I'm saying. This is talent, people. You see this right here? 1991.
Did you sign it? Would you?
Yeah,
sign
I signed it with a marker, and it's the light's kind of messing up.
Oh, it's the light. I was about to say. I feel like it looks better. It looks better with the light. I was about to say, man, I couldn't really.
So
yeah, Q06.
I got this helmet. Man. I got this helmet in 1991 when I first got with the Giants.
Dang. Yeah, I got mine in the bag, but you can't really.
It's
Yeah, no,
34
you
years
can't.
old. Now you can sit right now.
No, I was talking about mine in the bag. You see.
Yeah. So you got all nice stuff. My junk is ratchet.
What's that Darius Rucker guitar?
Let her cry.
I don't think it's signed or anything, but anyway, all right.
Of
course, people just like just hanging out. We still got everybody in here listening and shows.
Hey, listen,
shows done on the radio, but
y'all tripping because
Yeah,
I was a heck of a coach.
Well, I mean, you talk about receipts, man. The receipts didn't look great, but man, the receipts were great, man.
Listen, 15 in the room, y'all show.
Yeah, appreciate that. Hey, the good news is, guys, and again, I don't really worry too much into the numbers, man. They'll take care of themselves. We got a good. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but the good news is, I mean, we've been back on YouTube for about 3 weeks now, almost a month, and it's about double. The first couple weeks we're averaging about half.
Look at that. Tia done looked at everything. She done, look at that ratchet guy that's Tony something that stole all the money. And that's the other reason I ain't have no NIL. So the man stole all the money. I couldn't even pay players they $200 I had to pay them out my pocket. I had to go to my pocket and pull stacks out for these players.
Tia is so funny, man. Oh man, all right. I'm about to go get some lunch here in a second.
Y'all a trip. Tia, you tripping right now. I got some bog. I made some chicken bar, which is the South Carolina deal. Tia, you wouldn't know nothing about that chicken bar.
I think she's from down south originally, though, right? I think she just moved out there. I don't know.
You say he out here and then now preaching in front of 15,000. Wow.
15,000. Hold on, I got
Q.
I think he accidentally hit the K instead of the enter button, man. 15,000. I mean, you're talking about Joel Osteen, brother.
Wow. I want to tell you a story about a man named Job. The Bible said he was a fine young man.
Wait.
One of the richest men in the East.
15. 15,000. Wait. Hold on. 15,000. Q. I might have to see some receipts on that. Did 33,000,
Joe,
brother? I mean, you should be on. You should be flying private jets like Joel Osteen with those numbers, brother.
Tia, you from West Palm Beach, Lucas Oil Stadium. Listen, y'all tripping. But anyway, we're gonna get these live because I'm gonna come up here and stir it up. I got some receipts that I need to remind y'all about. Tia, for sure, for you. Tia tried to out-talk her way. Like she tried to Stephen A. Smith on live. That's what she be trying to do. She try to get you distracted and so you ain't paying attention to true facts. I know people like Tia how they roll. You know, she gonna be on that computer, but she got them fast fingers. And she go, Pahokee. Wow.
That's where I think KJ's from there.
Pahokee got a lot of watermelons down in Pahokee, Florida.
Yeah.
It's got an 18-wheeler down there. Load up big watermelon truck.
Nah, Q, I'll just mess with you, man. He said, "Is it 3,300 though?" Yeah, I was about to say because you said 30,000. I'm like, brother, golly. I mean, you talking about
Pahokee, Florida's near Florida State.
Nos vemos.
Tallahassee.
Cuídase.
Quédate, nos vemos. Quédate, no NIL.
No, that would just be NAEL.
Listen, I'm gonna go get me a little bit of this chicken bog and then take my medicine and then go get my car washed.
Good deal. I actually need to wash my car, so just went to the DMV.
You got Elon Musk car? Don't you got an Elon Musk car?
I do have one right now. Best financial decision I done made, man.
Yeah, y'all got y'all got a Pathfinder down there in Tuscaloosa. Y'all used to have an Escalade, but now you're a Pathfinder.
Oh man! All right, we'll get out of here. We'll do it again next week.
Lord bless y'all. Keep y'all. Hey Q, keep preaching that gospel, buddy,
and keep studying that Spanish.
Yeah, start your Spanish church. Christian can be your deacon in Spanish.
True. Podría hacerlo.
I gotta go make me some stacks. I'll holler at y'all.
Good deal. Hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week. Later.